Coming up in the National Report, the region moves to fight guns.
Plus, what's the next step for gaming in the country? Find out coming up.
And later on, what the Prime Minister is saying about climate change. The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
Law enforcement heads from across the region meet to map out a plan to combat the trafficking of weapons. Good evening, everyone. I'm Candino Knowles.
And I'm Opal Roach. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, the country's national security boss says he feels such a meeting will help to put a dent in organized crime as criminals have sharpened their skills. Our Charisma Robinson attended those high-level talks today as leaders discussed ways to break the back of crime.
The Association of Caribbean Commissioners of Police estimates that 1.6 million illegal guns are circulating within the Caribbean, and the use of these weapons have spawned an alarming rise in murders and gun violence. As this is a reality here in the Bahamas, U.S. and Caribbean authorities charged individual countries and regional organizations to defeat this threat. They say they are still seeing guns being traded for a wide variety of commodities, including food.
But as we reach the stage where in Venezuela, where there has been shortages of very important items, we have seen where boats trafficking guns and drugs have come into Trinidad and have taken back large supplies of toilet tissue. The moral of that story is that it doesn't matter what you have, as long as there's a scarcity someplace, it carries a high value.
It's for those reasons Minister of National Security Dr. Bernard Nottage told participating agencies that his ministry has indeed been tackling the illicit trade through intensified surveillance of our waters.
Of the 88 homicides recorded to date this year, 73 of them, that is 83%, have been committed with the use of firearms. The police force continues to seize firearms from our communities. So far this year, 263 illegal firearms and 3,500 rounds of ammunition have been confiscated, and we are determined to rid our country of them.
And as they work to rid the country of these arms, the National Security Minister says a number of these illegal firearms are being smuggled into the country through official ports of entry without detection. Last week, the Customs Department and members of the Royal Bahamas Police Force displayed their latest find of a major smuggling scam that involved stolen luxury cars, ammunition, and weapons. He commended them and charged law enforcement agencies to not give up on the fight.
Close collaboration among all of our law enforcement agencies to effectively address the problem of illegal firearms and to identify the component parts, together with being aware of the methods of concealment of firearms and ammunition, have been ongoing.
Now the community has a huge role to play in all of this. The National Security Minister is appealing to members of the public to join hands with law enforcement agencies as they cannot do it alone. Charisma Robinson, ZNS Network News.
Well, still talking crime, State Minister for National Security Senator Keith Bell has proposed a lockdown of criminal hotspots here in New Providence as crime continues unabated.
In fact, the Canadian government recently issued an advisory to its citizens asking them to exercise a high degree of caution, especially when traveling to Nassau due to the high rates of crime.
Well, Minister of National Security Dr. Bernard Nottage telling ZNS News that his ministry is now considering Bell's proposal.
The police force has a program that is organized that intensifies its activities in particular areas at particular times. The concept of lockdown is easier to talk about than to accomplish, but it is a matter that we have under consideration.
Is that the same as a curfew?
It's not necessarily the same as a curfew.
All right, well, the National Security Chief went on to outline what the lockdown strategy would entail.
What it means is that the police concentrate on an area and look at the people who come into the area, the people who leave the area, going to people's homes where we have reports of illicit activity and checking them out. You know, in a lot of communities you have places where drugs are sold or other illicit activity takes place, and people let you know about them. So if you go into an area, you want to investigate all of these accusations and see the extent to which that has what does it reveal in terms of what is actually happening, and then to take the necessary steps to prevent it.
Also tonight, the Education Minister is setting the record straight about reports of violence on school campuses. Cleopatra Murphy tells us that the minister refuted claims reported by another media house and had school administrators there to back him.
I have made it a point that my #1 priority is to ensure that our schools are safe and that there's order on our school campuses.
Education Minister the Honorable Jerome Fitzgerald chastising a media house today for a misleading report on school violence that he says involved incidents 3 years old. He says the report of a stabbing at C.R. Walker Senior High School was false, explaining that a minor altercation occurred and the student involved was transferred to Program Sure.
I have taken a zero-tolerance policy to any sort of criminal activity or any violence towards teachers or students. I have made that position clear. I have even intervened to ensure that their swift justice occurs, particularly when there's violence against a teacher that comes to my attention or an administrator.
The report also highlighted students coming to school in ankle bracelets. Fitzgerald says if a minor between 15 and 16 appears before the court and is ordered to wear an ankle bracelet, the school cannot bar them for an incident that occurred off campus. As for the recording of an incident with a teacher at R.M. Bailey School, that teacher is no longer with the ministry. Fitzgerald says the ministry reinstituted the school policing program in 2012 in its effort to curb school violence, and there has been a substantial reduction. Meantime, R.M. Bailey principal Colin Johnson was disappointed in that story that aired Tuesday night.
I invite, like the minister would have said, any media to come to the R.M. Bailey Senior High School and see what R.M. Bailey is all about. R.M. Bailey, I had promised that school that I would make that school a school of choice. And that school has passed to become a school of choice, the R.M. Bailey Senior High School. Very, very disciplined school.
C.R. Walker principal Trevor McKay says she should have been contacted before the misleading report.
I hate to hear the name of C.R. Walker being tarnished by what I call irresponsible journalism, because there was nobody who called me to find out if an incident took place on C.R. Walker's campus. As our minister said, it was a minor incident and it was dealt with very, very quickly.
In the meantime, the education minister also sought to set the record straight with the reporter who wrote the story.
I want you to know that we within the Ministry of Education take extreme exception to reports about incidents being of a serious nature, particularly when you talk about it and you show video of something that happened 3 years ago. We take serious obsession and offense to that.
Cleopatra Murphy, ZNS Network News.
Well, more job opportunities becoming available in the gaming sector as legislation is passed.
As government moves to prepare to offer these coveted licenses, it is also meeting with the financial sector.
Now that the gaming legislation is passed in Parliament and on its way to becoming law, Minister responsible for gaming, the Honorable Obi Wilscombe, says the next move is to conduct a recruitment exercise.
To get some of the top players in the industry, those who understand the game and who have been in gaming before, and new recruits to help us to staff. We have to bring in 1 or 2 experts to assist us initially. And of course, the technology that we have already sent out, searching for the best technology, and I expect to have a report by the 10th of October.
A major concern raised has been banking institutions accepting cash from gaming houses, but the gaming minister confirms they will, and as a matter of priority, government will continue to dialogue with these financial institutions.
Making sure that they understand everything we've put in place, showing them how it complies with the national best standards to ensure that the industry can continue to strive. All this is taking place now. I feel very good about the way we proceeded.
And while the government has yet to reveal a specific date on when operators will be able to apply or become licensed, Minister Wojcicki did commit to a time frame.
I expect the RFPs to go out within a month period, and then I expect us to set a date as to the transitionary period. We're going to work as quickly as we have to, given where we are right now. We want to put the government in a position that allows it to return to the Bahamian people with a tax regime on the web shop. So the transitionary process will take several months, but we do want to set a time date specific.
Many of the rules will be determined as the process develops, but one thing's for sure, according to the gaming minister, hard work and swift but cautious action will be the order of the day as they move to establish a new kind of industry. Clint Watson, ZNS Network News.
Well, Fort Charlotte MP Dr. Andre Rollins is denying that he attributed any corrupt motives to anyone during an interview with another media house. In a press statement issued today, Rollins said he never suggested that he had any information to that effect. His comments come one day after PLP Chairman Bradley Roberts said he should either put up or shut up. But Dr. Rollins maintains that he was referring to the Westminster Principles of Ministerial and Collective Responsibility and conveyed that any shortcomings or failings with respect to Bamboo Town MP Renwood Wells and his $600 million letter of intent cannot be leveled solely at his feet. The Fort Charlotte MP claims to do so would be to make the individual a scapegoat, which would demonstrate a clear lack of respect for the person and the system of governance, which we are guided by. Now, Dr. Rollins' statement concluded that having the letter of intent matter linger without any conclusive statement from the Prime Minister feeds the perception of government lacking transparency and accountability, which Mr. Rollins says he is not in the interest of our country's growth and development.
This segment of the news is brought to you by Shell Quality Fuels.